It's no secret that in any region that produces audiovisual content, you'll find various advertisements, and the Japanese anime industry is no exception. However, the use of product brands is quite strictly regulated by law, and without the owner's permission, you're forced to change McDonald's to WhackDonald's or McRonald's. But does McDonald's not view the Japanese animation market as a platform for its advertising? Of course it does. It's a huge corporation. For example, in Lupin 3, you can spot ads for the notorious fast food chain, and even Makoto Shinkai wasn't averse to promoting the fast food restaurant in one of his films. Moreover, there was a recent series of commercials in anime style promoting McDonald's. It's worth drawing a distinction here. There's advertising that directly persuades you to buy something, praising the product. Look at our beer, it's incredibly delicious, and with it, you'll have the roundest belly ever. And then there's product placement, where the same beer is briefly shown, and a couple of sentences are mentioned about it, all within a series. However, both are forms of promoting specific products or brands, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Let's dive into the world of Japanese advertising within the context of the anime industry. If you thought the use of advertising in anime and anime for advertising is a relatively new phenomenon, know that commercialization has been a part of the anime industry almost since its inception. The pioneer of this process in anime was Osamu Tezuka, known for wanting to make anime production as cheap as possible. He clearly knew something about making money. That's why, almost at the dawn of anime, Astro Boy graced the packaging of Meiji chocolate. Meiji sponsored the production of the series, and in return, Astro Boy helped attract a young audience and sell products featuring their favorite character. Astro Boy was extremely popular when it was released. Or take the anime legend Tetsujin 28 as an example, where the sponsor of the series, Glico, is even mentioned in the opening theme. By the way, this company still exists, and their most famous product today is Pocky Sticks. In internet circles, there was an uproar when Part 4 of JoJo featured blatant Pepsi advertising. But even back in 1993, during the intense battle with Dio, Joseph and Kakyoin decided to chat on a giant billboard advertising 7-Up. In fact, JoJo has advertised almost everything. For instance, when Jotaro sits in prison, killing time by reading Shonen Jump, the cover of the magazine resembles one of Araki's early works called Bao. Also, Shonen Jump is one of the most popular weekly manga magazines where the original JoJo manga was published. In another episode, Joseph listens to music on a Sony Walkman. Not surprising, since Sony is a Japanese company. Or how about the collaboration with the luxury clothing brand Gucci? Considering the character's appearance, a partnership with a fashion brand was inevitable. There's even an ad where anime versions of JoJo characters promote the JoJo manga, though this is just animated sprites from the manga, making it self-promotion. Actually, it's an ad for Ultra Jump. It's the same Shonen Jump, but for an older audience. You might think the perfect business model for anime production has been found. You could approach anyone for funding and get lots of money. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it doesn't work that way. Not every brand is willing to put its name and logo into your anime. For example, some well-known car brands refuse to grant rights for their cars to appear in various racing games. They don't like the idea of their cars being crashed or used for illegal street races that endanger others. Some avoid involvement due to reputational risks. Others believe their target consumers aren't among anime viewers. Even if they are, they might consider it not worth the effort. Okay, let's go to those who have no problem with ad placement. There are cases where creators negotiate directly with advertisers themselves, but usually a different practice is common in Japan. Let's say you want to make an anime. To do so, you need someone to fund it. There's something called a production committee. A hypothetical producer who wants to profit from anime goes there and says, "Give me money." Different companies then decide whether to invest in the project. This is essentially how anime is made. Money is needed for production, and studios themselves are just contractors, like construction firms. It's nothing personal, it's just business. If you want to know who invests in a series but are too lazy to read the credits, there's an easy way to find out. Just listen to the announcer.
この番組は角川とご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りしました。
From there, you can trace which characters in the anime come from the entity sponsoring it. Shonen Jump appears not only in JoJo but also in Bleach, Gintama, and even something like Rakugo Shinju, just with different branding. As the saying goes, today you promote Mashima, and tomorrow Mashima promotes Coca-Cola in their manga. Mashima isn't the only one doing this. Kojima, for instance, is brilliant at promoting things like licorice, recoil, or summertime rendering. And then Mashima draws Big Boss and Raiden. Everything is interconnected. Everyone promotes everyone. Again, illustrations and posts on social media are hard to call advertising, but it's definitely promoting. By the way, if you thought anime was an ad for manga, you're right. However, that doesn't mean manga itself lacks ads. Besides the JoJo example I showed earlier, there's this. For example, this ad for a new volume of Jujutsu Kaisen. Sure, it's nice that the anime came out, but reminding people about the print edition isn't a bad idea either. The ad itself is a parody of an old Japanese Fanta commercial where the action also takes place in a school setting. Who else benefits from investing in such projects and advertising themselves? Again, it's hard to call it direct advertising as you're not explicitly told to buy anything. So it's promotion. And this promotion is often seen as soon as you start a series. Or rather, you hear it. Yes, money can and most likely will come from music labels. For them, it's an excellent opportunity to promote their artists. If you think about it, there aren't many places to insert music ads, especially for markets outside Japan. Thankfully, opening credits are incredibly convenient as they essentially act as free mini music videos. Beyond Japan, it's a great way for your group or artist to gain recognition and spark interest in their other songs. This was cleverly parodied in Gintama, where an idol song was used in the opening.
大体オープニングとかエンディングとかスポンサーとタイアップなんだから勝手に変えたら怒られんだよムーさんの首が飛んじゃうよ
Only to revert to the actual theme. So music labels are very keen to have their songs featured in openings. The same applies to endings, although getting your song in the opening is much more desirable and profitable. Regarding ads within anime itself, there's a lot. Not every anime is packed with ads, of course. It's not like a Michael Bay movie, so you might not even notice they're there. But many factors influence this, including how the advertisement is and how popular the product is. For example, the anime Elf and the Hunter features Red Bull. It's clearly Red Bull because of the signature can and the fact the name isn't distorted, unlike in something like Danganronpa. In Zombieland Saga, however, an entire episode is devoted to the girls filming a commercial for a roadside cafe called Drive-In Tori. Only when preparing this video did I learn it's a real establishment. It makes sense though. How would I have known? It's targeted at a local market. Another example is the anime Macross Frontier, which advertises the convenience store chain Family Mart. Presentation plays a role too. In the anime Fable, there's an ad for a knife by Blackhawk. Before this anime, I didn't even know such a company existed. But the character describes the knife's merits so well that it makes you wonder, was that an ad? You search online and yes, it was. Question answered. Though it's a bit strange that knives are advertised in an anime essentially about Yakuza, and the main character is an assassin, which could give rise to unpleasant association. Though the character bought the knife for a forest trip, he never actually used it in the forest during the series. But fine, I'll take their word that the knives are excellent. Additionally, the red hoodie with the word Umbra is also a product placement for the British clothing brand. On top of that, you can spot Lexus advertisements. And in this case, the product placement in the anime is moderate. But there are those who actively want to be remembered as often as possible. The most famous example is Pizza Hut, advertised by Code Geass. One of the characters in the series named Cece loves pizza, specifically Pizza Hut brand pizza. As they say in war, the one who profits is the one selling pizza to both sides of the conflict. Besides pizza itself, there's also the company mascot named Cheese-kun. Collect 12 stickers, mail them in, and the plush toy is yours. And just so you don't think that only Sunrise Studios did such things, here's Pizza Hut advertising in a certain scientific railgun, darker than black, and even in the rebuild of Evangelion films. As you can see, it wasn't just Pizza Hut ads. Pizza Hut often collaborates with anime franchises to boost sales, and they've had many partnerships. Returning to Evangelion, the rebuilds already vaguely resemble Michael Bay films. They advertise Dorito chips, UCC coffee, Nerve staff using Apple products, and even managed to include ads for fishing rods. Do fishermen really watch Evangelion? And of course, beer promoted by Misato. Remember that legendary moment from the old version? Yes, that was an ad too, for the Japanese beer brand Ebisu. The problem was they didn't have the contract with the manufacturer, so after the second episode, the name had to be changed. But for some reason, they decided not to edit it for home media, where everyone could see the unchanged name. And this brand, of course, was advertised in other anime too, despite being alcohol. In Japan, people love to drink. Check out the recently released Bartender remake, where alcohol advertisements are numerous, and even the ancient Magus Bride was used for marketing sake sets. Elias, for heaven's sake, she's not even of legal age, and now he's gotten her drunk. Slightly off topic, but it's also common for limited edition branded goods tied to anime to be released as part of collaborations. For example, a limited edition of guitars with Bolchi the Rock. If you've always wanted a guitar like Bolchi's, you can get one for a modest sum. By the way, even though Evangelion changed the brand name for TV broadcasts, I still think it helped sell beer. After all, the can design is too recognizable. It's funny that even when they change the brand name, they make it clear what it references. Or maybe they're just too lazy to come up with a fictional brand. And despite changing the brand name and not having a contract, the brand still gets advertised. If you've played the visual novel or watched the anime Stains Gate, you'll remember that the main character loved Dr. Pepper. But in the Japanese version of the game, he drinks Dr. Pepper, while in the American version it's Dr. Pepel. They changed one letter, so there's no brand connection, right? The funny thing is, before Stains Gate, Dr. Pepper wasn't popular in Japan. People traditionally preferred Pepsi. Both the game and the anime boosted Dr. Pepper sales, at least in the Akihabara area. Dr. Pepper didn't sponsor the original novel or the anime, but the creators helped them out like this. But what if there's no advertising in anime? That's right. The anime itself is the advertisement. Blue Archive, Arknights, Fate, Girls Frontline, Azure Lane. What these anime have in common is that they're all based on mobile gacha games. You're watching anime but not playing the gacha? Unacceptable. We'll whip up a 12-episode ad and you'll quickly change your mind when you see all our beautiful girls you can pull. Moreover, there's even a whole studio that made ads for Azure Lane, Blue Archive, and Arknights. They also produced anime for the latter too. So yes, there's officially a studio dedicated to making anime for gacha games. Surprised they didn't give them the Genshin Impact adaptation. They also made mini-anime for the game Mahjong Soul, which can also be considered a type of gacha. At least they attract guest characters, obvious ones like Akagi, who's a Mahjong legend, and less obvious ones like characters from Kaguya-sama, Love is War, and Blue Archive. Though Blue Archive and Mahjong Soul are owned by the same company, Yostar. Collaboration is also a very common phenomenon, and what characters haven't they crossed paths with? But I'd especially highlight the marketers of the game, Monster Strike, who definitely earned their bread. You know, game development is a complex process that requires the work of many specialists, game designers, programmers, 3D artists, and many others. The UA Academy can help you get the profession you want. Though, no, they only teach heroes there, and they're clearly teaching them the wrong things. Do you know why All Might almost lost to All for One? Because UA didn't teach him the power of flexing or give him gacha helpers. How about this version of Edward Elric? No homunculi would dare mess with him. And if your fairy tale fan meetup doesn't even remotely look like something similar, don't bother inviting me. Okay, are there any anime where advertising is almost the reason for their existence, but they're not gacha? Of course. For example, Tiger and Bunny. In the anime's universe, superheroes essentially function as walking billboards. These superheroes exist thanks to sponsorships from brands. That moment when advertisers found the perfect anime for themselves. It's like a subtle meta commentary that just as superheroes can't exist without financial backing, neither can those of us creating anime without them. Or another example, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, which features no less product placement. Seeking ads for Pepsi, Heinz sauces, and knowing the anime was sponsored by Japanese supermarket chains. No matter how famous a studio you are, you'll either advertise or create advertisements. What do we have here? Akira? And what's the sticker we've got on display? Also, Shinkai can advertise anything he wants. He'll promote McDonald's in his film, make a commercial for bottled water, and even use his movie to advertise a department of banking with a talking dog. Though SoftBank seems to have a thing for dogs, considering they even turned Satoru Gojo into one.
ソフトバンク領域展開
Well, it's not just a quirk. The dog is simply the main character of the ad series. He's even been to space and appeared with Bruce Willis. Not every person can brag about that. Even Studio Ghibli has made tea commercials. Though, to be fair, those ads didn't feature any characters beside the ones specifically created for the commercials. They also made an ad for the house food store chain, but in the studio's more familiar style. But that doesn't change the essence of it. If you associate yourself with anime, you're associating yourself with advertising. Which brings us to another point. There's the native advertising shown within the anime itself. And then there's the kind of advertising that runs during breaks. That is, TV commercials. In the first case, the product is placed inside the series. But in the second, the series characters are used to promote products outside the show. This opens up endless possibilities. There are no constraints. You don't have to subtly integrate an ad into the show, so it doesn't feel forced. And you can collaborate with practically any brand. Actually, no, I said it right the first time because this is a dive into the fascinating world of wacky Japanese advertising. Take Attack on Titan, for example. You're watching it. There's a commercial break. And then there's more Attack on Titan. But this time, they're advertising chewing gum. Oh, where were they before? So much blood spilled, so many human sacrifices, when all the Titans needed was some gum. Attack on Titan is probably my favorite when it comes to weird ads, and there's no shortage of them for this title. It's like they're making up for the fact that you couldn't really place any product ads within the anime itself. There's actually none in the show, so all the investors' demands get transferred to external ads. Watching them, you realize why the Titans are so angry. They're hungry. And they could have been fed more than just gum. First, you'd offer them some noodles. Then for dessert, you'd give them Snickers. And at the end, treat them to an energy drink. But fine, we've dealt with the Titans. What about the people? Why are they all so nervous and angry? The answer is right on the surface. Who makes up the core of the military in an Attack on Titan? Men. And what irritates us? Skin irritation after shaving.
どうしてそんなに清潔感があるのお前と違ってちゃんとヒゲを剃ってるからなウーのオールインワンシリーズ効果ねえなんてのはてめえらの思い込みだ
Luckily, in this alternate advertising universe, everything turned out differently, all thanks to quality men's grooming products. By the way, good news for the Titans. The cream works for them too. Before I showed you this, you probably wouldn't have thought Titans could be used to advertise aftershave cream. Quite another matter is the Razor ad featuring Evangelion, where Shinji's dad looks at the camera with a gaze that suggests he's not about to shave, but rather take out his son.
ここに理想がある心からの解放感がある
Again, with the help of Evangelion, all sorts of things were advertised. Aside from the examples I've already mentioned, they advertise coffee, cars, eye drops, and even horse racing. Gambling in Japan is tricky. Casinos were long banned, but relatively recently, they started to legalize them. The same goes for betting shops. You can't place a bet on your favorite football team, but every rule has its exception. Officially, betting is only allowed on 4 types of sports: cycling, motorcycle racing, boat racing, and horse racing. And a franchise like Evangelion was used to advertise horse racing. There was several commercials where, aside from an EVA horse, there wasn't really anything noteworthy. Again, this is all legal in Japan, but it's still kind of strange. It's essentially sports betting. Even Attack on Titan got involved in the movement and collaborated with the Japanese Horse Racing Association. At least Attack on Titan can be tied to the teams somehow. There were horses in Attack on Titan, but I can't recall any in Evangelion. Truthfully, it was limited to a small ad and a minigame on a website. I swear I'm not intentionally only picking EVA and Attack on Titan. It's just that for some reason, these two anime accumulate all the most interesting advertising-related things, but they're not the only ones. For example, Jujutsu Kaisen has also been used to advertise gaming halls, where you can play slot machines. However, there are titles that seem like they would be perfect for advertising such things. For instance, characters from the anime Kaiji were used in pachinko machines, an anime that shows how gambling can ruin lives, including an arc involving pachinko, was used to advertise gambling machines. What a funny world we live in. Though slapping anime characters on pachinko machines is a common practice, you'd be surprised at who you might find on the casing of those machines. It's no secret that Japan loves instant noodles, and the most famous instant noodle brand is Cup Noodles by Nissin, the pioneer of all instant noodles, which has been on the market for over 50 years. These noodles are highly cherished and heavily advertised. Characters from Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Dragon Ball, Frieren, Re, Zero, and Megumin from Konosuba enthusiastically recommended the explosive spicy noodles. One Piece heroes fought over them and even had an entire series of commercials featuring this brand. Gundam wanted to cook all of Japan using these noodles, and even the heroes of Final Fantasy XV engaged in humanitarian aid, delivering noodles to those in need. Or maybe they were stealing these noodles across the kingdom. I couldn't quite figure it out. Just a demonstration that this noodle was advertised by almost everyone. However, Nissin not only used other anime for advertising, but also sponsored anime. In 2006, right on the company's 35th anniversary, an OVA consisting of 7 episodes called Freedom Project was released. They even brought in Dai Sato for the script. By the way, that's no small thing. He worked on Cowboy Bebop, Ergo Proxy, and Samurai Champloo. With this level of ambition, Nissin could already afford its own anime universe. I don't know why they're being so modest. And here's another thing worth mentioning. Not only individual brands use anime characters for their purposes, even Japanese authorities don't shy away from exploiting these images. But again, this is hard to call advertising. They're not selling you anything, but it's definitely about promoting state initiatives. There are anime like Gate, Our Wars Are Fought There, and Hisone and Masotan, which were directly financed by Japan's civil defense forces. Essentially, this is promotion for the Japanese army. Spy X Family encouraged Japanese citizens to register for and obtain individual social security cards. Laid Back Camp was created with the support of the tourism board of Yamanashi Prefecture, so it's an ad for hiking trails. Tomorrow's Joe reminded people to smoke only in designated areas. Fate urged citizens to become blood donors. Alright, the choice of this particular franchise and character looks strange. Tokyo Revengers informed young people about the change in the voting age. Previously, it was 20 years old in Japan, but from April 2022, it was lowered to 18. Now, from this age, they can vote. And this surprises me, using delinquents for this purpose who do all kinds of stuff. It might seem like I'm trying to accuse creators of selling out, that they shove ads everywhere, but there's nothing wrong with it. Money is needed for production, and money is also needed to eat, dress, and have a place to live. The main thing is that it's not an ad for something illegal or a low-quality product that doesn't match what's advertised or described. This is the time we live in, and it's perfectly normal that advertising is everywhere. Although I find it amusing that the anime industry is essentially an ad itself. Besides advertising manga, it's primarily an ad for franchise merchandise. That's how money is made. Once upon a time, people were outraged that Transformers and Power Rangers were originally created to sell toys. And what's changed? I'm sure no production committee meeting starts with the words, "Let's adapt this manga because it's a great work." More likely it starts with, "This will sell well, so let's adapt it." Moreover, I'm all for creators being paid for their work, and I have nothing against them seeking funding from various brands. Recently, Frieren came out, which I really like. And what? Should I now turn my back on this anime because the characters were used to advertise sauce? If that money went toward paying the animators and other crew members, then what's the issue? However, if that money went into the pockets of greedy producers or was used in some shady way and not as intended, leading to a shortage of specialists in production or shortened production timelines, then that's a real problem. Of course, I'm exaggerating a lot, but we're essentially watching one ad unwrapped in another ad that's used for yet another ad. Funny.